Greetings and a warm welcome to this international online Sunday service. To you, the graced people, to be in this holy place, this sacred place where the presence of God is going to be dispensed into your environment. My name is Pastor Karamba, joined by Pastor Chikuni, and in a few moments we will be having the voice leading us on. Man of God.
What an honor to be here.
The voice
Our Father.
of God.
Exactly. It's an amazing season that we are in. We have the voice in our midst, our Father. Amen, that God has sent to transform our lives. And what we are going through in this season, it's a season of transformation. Whatever we choose to do, it determines where we're going.
Indeed. We look at what we affectionately call him, the voice.
The voice.
And we've done so for a few years now. And it's from an understanding of his function in our lives. You know, he's our voice. He's, to those that are watching, their personal voice, my voice, the voice to their families. But when we observe the history of what we've called our Father, according to the understanding that we've had over the years, at some point we used to be called Pastor Makandiwa. And as we continue to get a better understanding of the way that he operates, there was a time when we started calling him Reverend. And we believe that it's within that time where the strange manifestation of this pioneered anointing and the prophetic that was oozing out of him was bewildering to us. And we're looking for a name. We're trying to figure out what do we call this being that is among us. And we fell upon Reverend. And Reverend, theologically, it's an appointed bishop or a man of the cloth. But we could look at his name Reverend then as an allocation of honor, where we're not sure where to place him, but he's revered. He's honored. The way he operates is strange to us. And then you see over the years, the name moved from Reverend to Prophet. After it had settled in us and we had gained enough understanding to see that, so all these years, our Father has been moving in the prophetic, and we had little understanding of what the prophetic was at that time. And then now we affectionately call him the voice. But looking at all those phases of us discovering more and more of our Father, we realized that each step of the way we were years, eons, light years away from defining his present state at each of those different seasons. And so when we call him the voice, we understand that it is not the definitive encapsulating name that we can give him. But if he is one with him who has a multiplicity of names, we gather that our Father is beyond a prophet. He is beyond the voice. There are much and many more layers of him for us to unfold it. We see it throughout his ministry and the many miracles that happened, especially the miracle that he described last week, an outstanding display of the ranking that our Father has in the Spirit.
I'm going to come back to that one. You highlighted a very important point, that at every point that we tried to name or give an identity to our Father, we always missed.
That's right.
And I believe that on the basis of a statement that he uttered last week, that sometimes we decode the voice of God according to our understanding. And sometimes our understanding is found lacking. And by so doing, we misinterpret or we misunderstand the voice of God. And sometimes not only do we miss, I wouldn't want to say the mark, but we miss. And that lack of understanding disqualifies us to even give a name to the one that God has given a name. And indeed, that is why God names or has given a name to our Father. We follow behind. And even at this point, it's amazing, Pastor Kwaramba, I've been looking at what has been happening around us this past week, and it's amazing how, given how much society wants to refute the prophetic, we find ourselves positioned at the very point that was prophesied about.
We're in the center.
And you look at that and you begin to understand that what we are dealing with goes beyond the intelligence of man. It goes beyond what men can plan for. Isn't it amazing how sometimes the prophetic can come and tell you where you will be in 10 years, and you work against that. And then you find yourself in the very same place that the prophetic said you will be, where we are now.
Because when God speaks, he's considering what you know and what you don't know. And he's communicating to you, and the motivation behind his communication is based upon him knowing that you have the potential to understand and to eventually understand his voice.
You mentioned another point about the prophetic, and I would really want to say this. When I first saw my father, it was the prophetic all round. I first met my father in the physical, round about just after 2000, maybe 2004, 2005, somewhere there. And the prophetic was already there. I remember him prophesying to me that I'll be there in Mzarabani when the first crusade will take place. One of the crusades will take place. And believe you me, what happened in between and my being in Mzarabani at that point, it was just the prophetic. He highlighted the nature of the cloth that will be in Mzarabani, the nature of the stage that will be in Mzarabani. And this is years before. Years before. And we are here today. We are still learning about the prophetic through the life of our Father.
Is it not fascinating? Is it not wonderful when you begin to trace geographically the movement and the development of a prophecy in the landscape of time? You can draw a Cartesian and you can plot out point by point and map out the movement of a prophecy. And in doing that, you are in awe of the intelligence of God. But understanding that without a man who is gifted with an exceptional ability to function as God in that level of intelligence, when you begin to monitor and see, you're giving us your personal testimony of the prophecy, and you look at the fact that everything that you're going to go through up to that point had been seen. But the intelligence of our Father in being able to pick out the most prominent events that would take place within that space of time, to be able to prioritize those and make them stand out and be those things that he communicates to you, and leaving other underlying matters that are not as much of a priority. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do.
However many years it was a long time.
It was a long time.
We love prophecies. We love our Father, and we appreciate his presence in our lives. If you can allow us now to take these few moments to say hello to our Father this lovely Sunday. Greetings, our Father.
It is a wonderful day. Blessings to you, pastors, and blessings as well to our viewers. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this moment and this season that you've allowed us to be right at the center of where you are, and we are here to receive from your grace, from your wisdom, from your understanding. We live not just by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of your mouth. And we are so happy to be here, and we are ready for you. Thank you for allowing us to partake of this table. And our hearts and our spirits, our bones, our flesh, even our blood.
Yes, Lord.
We're just open. We are open.
Lord. Yes,
ready to receive.
Yes, Lord.
In Jesus' name.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, we are here, pastors, to
Thank you.
deliver a message to God's people. And I would like you to take this moment seriously. I'm not going to be here for too long, but it is very, very critical that we get to hear what the Lord is saying. I heard you as you were touching on the prophetic, which to me is that's a very, very critical area. Getting to hear what the Lord is saying.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Of all the people, this is the Lord saying. Oh, that is what makes it a very critical thing.
Yes,
it is the Lord speaking.
Yes, Father.
He is not a man that he can lie.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
He cannot lie. So when he speaks, you expect to see what he said coming to pass. You look at what God has told us so far. If someone thinks that it's not God that we hear, still they have to give a name to that thing that talks to us. There still has to be a name given to whatever it is that talks to us. What is it that we hear? What is that? Because the thing is so accurate. The thing is so precise. And the thing is not limited to the present. The thing is speaking to us from the future. Whatever that thing is. If it's not God, then people have to come up with a different name. If that name is not God again. It's hard to tell what is going to happen tomorrow. It's very, very hard.
True, Father. True.
It's very, very, very hard. Especially if you see those that seem to be predicting or prophesying the future. Not necessarily because that's what they are seeing coming, but that's what they are creating. There are those that are saying, yes, I've heard some saying we are soon going to have a phase 2 pandemic. Okay? And when I talk about these things, please, you must understand, I'm not prophesying at a national level. Most of my prophecies, like especially with this one, because there are people who are so much, they desire to be included in everything that I'm saying. I say something that is at a global platform. And then local individuals, they try to personalize. When I'm coming to local issues, it's a local issue. But this thing is happening at a very, very broader spectrum. It's bigger. It is being dictated from the mountaintop. The rest of the nations in the valley are just following suit, copying what others are doing.
Yes, Father. Yes,
so when I give prophecies concerning such matters, don't try to reduce them to your local understanding and try to fit in where you don't fit. When people that are controlling this thing, that are in charge of this agenda, are discussing, we get to hear what they're saying. And when we come and we're telling you, even when they also come out and sort of predict what is coming, it's what they are creating. Right. So if they are preparing you for another wave globally, I'm not talking about Zimbabwe, I'm talking about globally. Yes, Father. Some might look at this as predictions, like I've said. Some might perceive it to be something that falls within the category of the prophetic. But these are people who are making up things. These are creators of chaos and problems. Because already they can see, they know what is going to trigger whatever they are calling another wave. The solution, the so-called solution, because it was deliberate. Trying to stop the first pandemic, whatever it is that they used in trying to help the people. They know there is another phase that is coming where people have now been weakened. And when people begin to fall in there, because you can't, once you have introduced a cure, a solution, we can't be talking of the same problem again.
Yes, Father. We cannot.
We can't be hearing that from you again. You have provided what you termed the solution. So why are you now intimidating us again with another thing of the same nature that you say is coming? So that when you begin to fall and you're dying, you will blame it on the disease and not on the so-called cure. So these are creators of problems. I'm not going to get into that, but I said last time that when prophecy is coming, you must look at the timing of it. The time the prophecy was delivered. Was it a common thing? Do we have any platform that had already started talking about it, or it was given when no one thought such a thing would come? So he is not a man. God is not a man.
Yes, Father.
God is not a man. God is not a man.
Yes, Father.
Once we come and we give you what is coming and we give you figures, in trying to make that false, you get to the figures. Wow. Because he is not a man.
Wow.
He cannot lie. Here comes the Assyrian king in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter number 37. I want you to look at something in verse number 3.
Thank you, Father.
We have touched on this before. But like I promised, I don't want to be here for too long. In chapter 37 of the book of Isaiah,
Thank you, Father.
I want you to hear what the king of Israel, Hezekiah, said in verse number 3.
And they said unto him, Thus saith Hezekiah, This day is a day of trouble.
This is what Hezekiah said, that this day, it is the day of trouble.
And of rebuke.
A day of rebuke.
And of blasphemy.
It is a day of blasphemy.
For the children
This is the reason.
For the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth.
A day when children are supposed to be born and there is not enough strength, not enough energy to bring them forth. So he's talking about the disruption of an amazing event that should have occurred today. This was the birthday. Instead of rejoicing and receiving a new child that is coming, it has turned out to be a day of trouble. A day of rejoicing when people were supposed to be happy, receiving a new life that has just arrived. It has turned out to be a day of trouble, a day of blasphemy where God is going to be mocked. And the reason being that the day has arrived at a time when there is not enough strength to deliver the baby. I'm touching on something very important here. When the strength within you has been tampered with, when the ability within you has been compromised, the day that you should have rejoiced now becomes the day of trouble. Not because the baby is not there, but because the energy required to bring forth the baby is no longer there. What made Hezekiah to say this? It was because Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, had written him a letter to say, I'm coming after you. And he sent his army commander, Rabshakeh, to make this announcement, not just to Hezekiah, but to every person in Jerusalem. He said something very, very nasty. It wasn't just a threat, but this messenger even warned the people not to listen to what Hezekiah was telling them, that the Lord is able to deliver. So, an interesting thing is happening there. Not only did he say what he wanted to say, he went on to write it on a piece of paper. And the king of Jerusalem received the letter. And he was so much devastated by the message. And what he did was to invite the scribes, the priests, the judges of Israel, and the elders. And then he said, please go to the prophet and inquire from the prophet, hear from the prophet. What are we supposed to do against the Assyrian king? And the prophet said, thus saith the Lord. The king that has come against you, I don't want him to die in this land. I will bring up a matter. There shall be a rumor, and he will have to return back to his country. And there I will cause him to fall.
Verse 7, Father.
It's all right. And there I will cause him to fall. But what I want you to understand is this. This is the thing that is haunting so many Christians. And they think it's a demon. They think it's a spiritual attack. Where you see your day arriving. And you have the name of the miracle that God is about to perform. You know what God is about to do. An opportunity, whether it's a business opportunity, you know it is supposed to happen today. And that day turns out to be a day of trouble. And you think it's a demonic attack. And yet, it is the lack of strength that will result in that day becoming the day of trouble. And you think demons are fighting you so hard. Most of you people listening to me, you don't understand what goes into the delivery of a miracle when a baby is about to come. The devil makes sure that you don't have what it takes to deliver. Yet you have what to deliver. You have what needs to be delivered. And the devil makes sure that you don't have what it takes to deliver what you have. Your energy, your strength has been tampered with. Pastors, hear me and hear me well, because this thing, it fights you like a demon.
Preach it, Father.
You look at its tactics, it behaves like a demon. Yet it is simply lack of strength. When God's assignment that He has placed within you outgrows you, when the mission, when the agenda, when your purpose that God has inserted within you outweighs your ability to deliver, you get to that place where you hear the psalmist saying, "The zeal of the house of the Lord has consumed me." I've watched as people are getting consumed by what seemed to be demons, and yet it was the zeal of the Lord. When a divine purpose cannot be delivered well on the day of its delivery, it turns out to be a day of trouble, a day of reproach. When the baby, the assignment, when the mandate within you cannot be brought forth when you have not developed yourself to the measure that is required by the baby that you carry, it turns out to be a day of trouble. No demon is fighting you there. It is lack of strength, lack of energy. God has already deposited within you. The baby, the child, the next generation is within you. But to bring it forth, strength is needed. What has weakened us? Hezekiah wants to hear from the prophet. Please go and tell the prophet. Babies are getting ready to come, but mothers are weak. Such a message had to be delivered to the prophet. We have the babies, but we don't have what it takes to deliver. You see, the chariots are there, the horses are there. Yet the king of Israel is not ready to engage in a fight unless he hears from the prophet. How do we deliver? How do we dispatch? Let's get a strategy from the Lord. It depends with the altar that you approach. Because the Assyrian king has his own God. And Hezekiah has his own God, and he has his own prophets. And he has his own messengers. The same way Sankerib has also his own God and his own messengers. But it is the size of the altar that determines the sacrifice. The size of the altar. Do you know that you can have your adversary visiting a sangoma, a ritualist, a witch doctor, and they pay even up to $1 million. They can even sacrifice their children just so that you go down. So if you want to counter what they've done, you don't get into figures. You identify a superior altar. It's not a battle of figures. How much did they sacrifice so that you go down? And then you say, how much should I sacrifice also so that I go up? It's a question of location. Your enemy can sacrifice $1 million, and then you can only get a cup of cold water and you give it to any of these little ones. He has gone to a witch doctor, given $1 million, and then you identify a man of God and you give him a cup of cold water. And watch what happens. Identifying the right altar, connecting, dealing with the right man. That is what ensures your victory. The Assyrian king has done all the rituals that are needed for him to secure his victory. But Hezekiah, his trust is in the Lord. And there is a prophet. And he goes on to inquire. And the prophet said, he said something very interesting. He said, he will not even throw an arrow. He will not come anywhere close to this city. I will cause him to go back when God is about to destroy some individuals. God never wanted the king of Assyria to die in Jerusalem. He said, I will create a situation so that he goes back to his hometown, and I'll cause him to perish there. And if you study right up to the end of that chapter, he was in the house of his God, the king, the Assyrian king. Whilst he was praying, his two sons came in and they killed him. He was killed by his own two sons, the closest people to him. Because it was within the prophetic. The closest, the people that he trusted, 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 his own two sons, individuals that he brought up, they killed him. They killed him. They killed him. So when the Lord sometimes is about to close the chapter of your enemy, he might not choose to do it elsewhere. He raises a matter. God said, there's going to be a rumor. I'll cause him to go back to his country, and there he will perish. But that's the thing that Hezekiah said, we are lacking strength, but babies are ready to come. We have worked so hard for years, 9 months. It is now time to deliver, but there's no strength. The Lord is about to close a certain chapter. But sometimes it is terrible the way that he closes it. It's very, very terrible. Very, very, very terrible. I'm not saying much today, but I'm saying much. I'm not saying a lot, but I'm saying a lot.
We feel it, Father.
Saying a lot. Get this part. It might not be a demon that is still fighting you today. Something has tempered with your strength. God's vision, God's agenda for you that is within you has developed itself more than what you can carry. You are being consumed by the zeal of the Lord. You have underdeveloped yourself. God's purpose has become bigger and greater than you. And you seem to be demon-possessed now. Lack of strength, lack of energy. And this is what the enemy managed to do. He destroyed their confidence. People are enjoying talking. Enemies, they enjoy talking. They enjoy writing quite a lot. This was a letter written to the king of Israel, and he took the letter, presented the letter before the Lord. And he said, oh God, look at what this man is saying. Some of you, if you begin to number the people that have made it a point that you fall and you go down, you are overwhelmed by adversaries. But there comes a time when the Lord said, okay, not even an arrow from their camp will touch you, will touch any of your children. but I will raise a matter. God is raising an issue. There's going to be a rumor, Father, a rumor. I'll create a scenario so that the Assyrian king is drawn back to his house, and I'll cause the thing to happen. When he thinks he's safe, the safest place, where he feels comfortable, where he's secured, then there's going to be war. There is going to be war. This God that we serve, it's just that some people, they never got to see what he can do. They talk about God, they preach about him, yet they've never had an encounter. Even in a dream, they've never seen him do what he can do. Imagine the creator of all these manifestations that we see. If he gets into you and he starts operating from you, imagine the things that can happen. The devil never knew what would become of this kingdom. Otherwise, he wouldn't have crucified the King of Glory. There are things that I was supposed to say, but I just want you to hear this wisdom. I want you to hear this wisdom. It's not a good thing for you to be fighting against God. Don't tamper with the human strength. Not just God's strength, human strength. Pastors, you are watching as billions upon billions surrender their strength, their ability to overcome the enemy willingly. There is strength in your body, right? The ideas that you have, that idea is a strength. The wisdom is a strength. Your immune system is a strength. Thank you. There will come a time when you need that strength to deliver. And that will be the day of trouble. What has happened to humans? What has happened? Why have we lost it to that extent? Not after we have been to school, pastors. Not after we have been to school. I knew that the devil has always been a deceiver, but I never thought that he would go to those extents. It's not easy fooling billions. It's not easy. Hear me, it's not easy. You can fool hundreds, but sometimes it's hard to fool 1,000. But getting into billions, strength is being lost. A day of trouble is coming. Make the Lord your God your altar. Make the Lord your God your hiding place. Make him your secret place. Stay in his presence. There you are safe.
Thank you, Father.
There you are safe. I hear God. I see what he is doing. And that's not because I'm in any way unique. It's all because of his grace. Some, they think we are here to play. But this is a serious business. This is a serious business. This isn't a game. This is not a joke. Having the Father sending his own Son to come here, not to play, he came here and he died, so that he can facilitate the victory.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
There will come a day when you're supposed to deliver. Will you still have enough strength to deliver? But what the Lord is doing is to make sure that whoever is behind your loss of strength, God is creating a situation. If you're in God's hands, every arrow that the enemy is going to throw at you, it will not touch your flesh. We don't have to make this too long. But I'm just trying to help you understand what you thought was a demon because you are so unproductive. It is simply lack of strength. You have donated your strength. You have surrendered your energy. Now you can deliver. Why? Because you have listened to what the enemy has said and written. Weakened nations. You have to look around as a prophet. If you're a prophet, if you hear from God, look around. Let the Lord himself lift you up. Look down. Count the number of people that you see down there. Count the number of people. count the number of people. The devil doesn't want us here. The devil doesn't want to see people here on the earth. And that devil is in people. A few years from now, those that would have escaped the wrath and the agenda of the enemy will shake their heads and say, indeed, the devil is a deceiver. We have been fooled. How can a prophet, pastors, how can a prophet tell you that they wanted this thing to be well developed, mature, and then it goes out there? And then God, because of the prayers, let's pray against what is coming because of the prayers. It gets out of their hand. It goes out of control. Yes, Father. And these people have the guts to pick up the fragments and package it and send it out as a solution. Let's manually do it. Because the first strategy failed. What is wrong with us? Loss of strength. Loss of strength. A day of trouble is coming. Where you can't face even the weakest virus, the weakest disease. Your body won't be able to withstand it. Loss of strength. A day of jubilation, a day of laughter will turn out to be a day of mourning. An Assyrian agenda. Send out a message. Write it down. But Hezekiah said, we have the Lord God on our side. We'll inquire from the prophet. And the prophet said, oh, this is what God is going to do. Do you know that when the letter was presented before God, and the prophet declared that God is about to fight for you, that night, the Bible says, and the angel of God went into the Assyrian camp. And thousands, hear this, thousands of people, the following morning, were all dead. That is what made the king of Assyria to go back to his country. In the morning, how can you discover thousands of corpses?
Yes.
None of them were sick yesterday. An angel moved around the camp. This is a wave that is coming because God is about to deliver and secure the lives of his people. But there are people at the top of this agenda. At the top of this agenda. So there is a dispatching of this very horrific angel into their camp. And their days are numbered. Their days are numbered. Their days are numbered. You can't have your children dying early, and old men and old women who are busy plotting go on to live longer and longer and longer. The agenda of feeding on the human strength, the Lord is bringing it to an end.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
And their own children will kill them. It is God's air that we are breathing. People must know that whether they love God or they don't love Him, this earth belongs to Him. This earth. Oh. None of these billionaires created this. Whatever they're trying to buy, it's God's. We are about to watch God's intervention. They thought He was quiet. They underestimated. They think that He has run out of strategies. But soon people will begin to realize that, oh, somebody else owns this earth.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
So, my prayer for you is that you receive back your strength, your energy, so that you can deliver. You have a mission. God has an assignment for you. You are failing to push it out because something has tampered with your strength. But hear ye the voice of the Lord. You have enemies. I also have enemies. Personally, I have many enemies. And we wish them well. We have been praying for them. We have been blessing them. But if they become too many, the angel of the Lord will come in. You are a child of God. You have been called by God. But there are those also that believe that they are also children of God. And yet we differ. When we look at our level of operation, we are different. There are people that God is about to protect now. He wants to defend His own. He wants to remind the kings that He is their King, the King of Kings. You can never outsmart the King of Kings. You can't. So I've prayed for you, and we'll keep on touching the altar. We will keep on touching the altar.
Thank you.
Get into contact. I said it matters. The size of the altar determines your victory.
Yes, Father.
The size of your victory and how fast you can get it. It might not be something big that you are giving to God, but you are giving to a big God. They have their gods, we have our God.
Yes,
So let's watch, let's see what is going to unfold. But I want you to understand, don't be caught on the wrong side. Don't fight against God's people. Don't fight against God's people. If you look at me, I might be very, very small, maybe in terms of size, but never underestimate what I carry. You don't know where I'm coming from, you don't know where I'm going. something terrible can happen to you. And it's only those that remain behind that will know what happened to you. God wants to protect his people.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm encouraging our people not to lose hope,
Thank you.
but be strong in the Lord, knowing that you have joined the right army. This is a winning team.
Thank you. Thank you.
No arrow shall touch you, no arrow shall touch your children.
Receive.
But God is going to destroy them in their own camp.
Receive.
When they think they are winning, they are losing.
Yes, Lord. Receive.
When they think they are winning, they are losing.
Yes, Lord.
Because God is taking over the battle. But child of God, I want you to continue serving God, continue partnering with God's work. We are spreading, we are broadcasting this message from here because of wonderful, wonderful partners that God has given to us. I keep on praying for you, partners. Keep on partnering so that we spread this message.
Yes,
Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid, so don't be afraid. You don't have fear in your DNA. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. This God is our God. He is our Father. So I want you to continue. I'm sure on Sunday, I want people to be ready, pastors. I'm going to be ministering from the altar. Yes, I'm going to be ministering from the altar on Sunday.
Thank you, Father.
So make sure that you keep on partnering. It's still a season. It's a continuation of this season of honor. And hopefully after that, you know, pastors, I've never done a press statement ever since. I've never released how do I put it? I feel like something needs to be said. I'm still verifying this with the Lord, but after the declarations, when we were done on Sunday, ministering to those names in the altar, I don't know whether it's the right thing for me to promise the people or I should just come. But I think I feel it is time that you hear me say some things. Okay.
Yes, Father.
Yes. It will be your first time. You don't need to be there. Okay. My strength is not weakness. It's a strength. I'm known for something else and not for something else. But certain things have to be corrected. So I'm going to say some things, and you have to brace for that. Hold on to anything that you can find. Because we need to bring order and sanity to the body of Christ. Sanity and order. And I feel God has given also to me that mandate to restrain the operations of the devil. Okay. You have noticed that people can go on to say whatever they want to say because they know. They know what they think they know. Yet there is something else that they don't know, that they are yet to know. God has given us strength. And when we choose to use that strength, it will only be for the upbringing and the development of His body and not to destroy it. Okay? Yes. Have you ever seen me give a press statement? I'm done preaching already. I'm done preaching. I'm just where I sit in the office and I talk to the world concerning other matters. Not the Bible. Not the Bible. Not prophecy. It's not prophecy. I'm not just a man of God, I'm a mature man of God. I know myself, I know my character. And I trust myself when it comes to that because I work with God. I work with God. When I can tell you that. But if the enemy is smart enough, he must throw everything he has before that day. Before. After that day, it will be too late. You have your problems. But you must understand that your problem is God's problem when you are His child. Thank you, Father. Very sorry, Pastor. I know you're trying to understand what is happening. There's nothing really, but you know, when God has promoted you and He has now assigned you to get into matters that matter, you have to accept that promotion. Okay. Yes. You have to accept that promotion. When it comes to the things of God, I know what I'm doing. When I'm blessing people, I know what I'm doing. When I say, this is what the Lord is saying, I know what I'm saying. I don't say that and then go on to hear what God is saying. I hear from God. Then I bring the message to the people. But there is a situation, a rumor the Lord is creating. There is a messenger from God who is getting into the camp of the enemy. It will take one night. I've been telling people for years, some people who think that I'm not a fighter physically. I don't know how to fight physically. There's a greater part of me a spirit. I've never targeted an individual. Targeting an individual, and then he goes on to see 2 days and two nights. It doesn't happen like that. We have strength within us that we have reserved for years, and we've been honorable because of that. God has given us strength to decide who stays and who goes. He has given us that strength. So we'll soon find out whether those in the camp of the enemy are stronger than us or we are stronger than them. We'll get to see. Pastors, have you ever seen power? Do you know what power is? You have no idea, right? Pastor, do you know what power is? So God is doing everything just so that you can have your breathing space. You can't keep on fighting. We are not here to fight. We are here to enjoy life. So God is bringing in, there is so much reinforcement. There is backup that I see coming, where the arrow of the enemy will not have to touch your body. Enemies have spoken, right? They have spoken, they have not been quiet. They have spoken.
Yes, Father.
And we have been quiet.
Yes, Father.
Now it's our turn. It's our turn.
Yes, Father.
Let's see who is going to survive, okay?
Yes, Father.
All right. So be strong in the Lord, child of God. Be very, very, very strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord. And at the end of the day, we shall be the ones standing. I pray for you. I pray for your children. I pray for your businesses. I pray for your relationships. I pray for every connection. May strength be restored back to you. The strength that you have lost. Any Assyrian strategy, any word spoken, any letter written to you that has been feeding on your energy, hear the voice of the Lord. I will raise up a matter. I will trigger an issue. And people will start falling in their safest places. God is coming in to rescue his people before they are destroyed. Child of God, you are surrounded, you are fenced, you are secured.
Receive.
You are covered and you are protected.
Receive it.
In the name of Jesus, be strong in the Lord. So those of you that can partner with us, go ahead. I want your name. I want it 3 times. I want it 4 times. I want it 5 times. Let's have names in the prayer closet on Sunday. I want to be laying my hands on those names as you are watching. You might not know where your name is exactly, but when I get in contact, when I touch your name, you will know. That was my name right there. You will know wherever you are. So be ready next Sunday as you prepare your people as usual. They must be ready to take videos and pictures because strange things are going to be happening in their homes, in their houses, in their offices. Whilst I'm ministering, I want people to see what God can do. Okay? So be ready for me on Sunday. Viewers, be ready for me on Sunday. Come prepared for that session Because things that you never thought were present in your body, you'll see what the power of God can do. You'll see. Whatever was responsible for your downfall, always going down. Downward has always been your direction. The story is changing. I want you to see what God can do when your name is placed in the right place and you are in contact with the most powerful altar. Let's watch. Let's see what is going to happen on Sunday. So I want people to be ready throughout the week. Commit yourself to God's work. Support God's work. And then it is that contact that is going to create another victory that you so much desired. So I don't think I have anything else today to share with these wonderful people. But I look forward to that day when the record is set straight. And then the Church of God will begin to move forward in the proper channel. So I'm looking forward to that. It's just an announcement that I made at the end of the preaching. So keep on praying. Keep on praying. Do we have anything else, pastors?
No, Father, we don't.
We are okay to go, right?
We are okay.
Thank you. You can dismiss the people. Thank you.
Please take note of the announcement made today. Until next time.